Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Another Game 7? You betcha. Arizona and Philadelphia battled for the NL pennant on Tuesday night. Also, the Lakers and Nuggets faced off to start the new season. And could Davante Adams be traded at the deadline? I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
It was over. The Arizona Diamondbacks going back to Philadelphia down 3-2, and they were cooked until they weren't. 2 games in Philly, a Game 7 at Citizens Bank, and it was the Diamondbacks who came out in a street fight to win this one, a 4-2 win, and they are headed back to the World Series for the first time in 22 years. Miller Thomas from Locked On Diamondbacks joins me now. Miller, this was a team that had done it in a variety of different ways. Coincidentally, you said leave Brandon Pfaadt out there if he's pitching well. He was. Mm-hmm. They didn't leave him out there, and it still worked out for the Diamondbacks. It's been that kind of season for them. Just take us through your reaction right now to this moment.
Peter, I mean, I'm in awe, right? I mean, going back to Philadelphia, like you said, everyone thought this series was over, and how could you not? They were showing the graphic in the last game about how this Phillies team was like basically the best of all time at home. We looked at the home run differential. We looked at the run differential being like top 3 in MLB history. Like, this was a historic team at home in the postseason, and the D-backs went in there, and the pitching shut down that Phillies offense. Bryce Harper was really good the first 2 games of this series. He was really not that impressive the last 2 games, especially at home, Game 6, Game 7. Same with Kyle Schwarber. That top of the lineup, the D-backs were able to stifle the top of the lineup. Look at Merrill Kelly in Game 6. And then once again, the rookie came up huge in Game 7. He's been phenomenal all postseason. And then we got to give credit to this D-backs bullpen, who the last few years, the D-backs bullpen was the biggest weakness of this D-backs team. This was one of the worst teams in baseball the last few years at closing games. Look at the D-backs bullpen this postseason, one of the best in Major League Baseball. You went with your top 5 guys tonight: Mantiply, Saul Frank, Thompson, and then, of course, Kevin Ginkel and Paul Sewald have been nails the entire postseason. Neither guy have allowed an earned run. Once again, Ginkel goes extended innings in this one. Paul Sewald comes in and shuts the door in the 9th. And then, of course, Game 7, he steps up in a big way. The rookie, Corbin Carroll, who's been struggling all series, finally shows his stripes in Game 7, shows he's that big game player when it matters most. And of course, Ketel Marte kept the longest postseason hit streak alive with a base hit tonight. So D-backs did a lot in Game 7 in the last 2 games in Philadelphia. The pitching was phenomenal. The offense was just clutch enough. You got great starts and you got great bullpen. The D-backs end up going to Philadelphia in the most insane environment and taking both games, Game 6 and Game 7. Now we're going to the World Series, Peter. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and in the top of the 5th, it was not looking so rosy. The Diamondbacks were down 2-1, and the aforementioned Carroll, he hits a single to center. RBI ties the game. He hits the sac fly in the 7th. That gives them the insurance run, a little breathing room, though I'm sure Diamondback fans did not breathe until that last out over in right field. Yeah. So now, as we look forward here, baseball, the World Series shifts to where a lot of people go when the weather gets a little chillier, to the desert, to the Southwest. And so this matchup with the Rangers, both of these teams come in absolutely battle tested. What do you think can be the difference for Arizona here? Just top line, let's get excited about the World Series.
Man, there's so many things. I think you have to look at the young talent with the D-backs. That's what really rode them here. Of course, you got Corbin Carroll, the Rookie of the Year, but then you look at Gabriel Moreno, what he did in Game 6 and Game 7, traded from the Toronto Blue Jays for Dalton Varsho. He has been huge for the D-backs all season. Their record when he starts is phenomenally better than when he's out, and he's been clutch the last 2 games. And then, of course, Alek Thomas. He's been like the pinch hitting king this postseason for the D-backs. Of course, had that big knock at the game I was at, game 4 against Philadelphia. So I think it's the young talent of this D-backs team. And of course, the rookie Brandon Pfaadt, what he's doing. This team, the fact that they got to this World Series after 2 years being removed from a 52-win season, the makeup of this team is just so young. I think you have to look at the young talent and the fact that this team is going to the World Series this early in their, quote unquote rebuild. I think that's the most impressive thing that I'm watching right now from this D-backs team. The fact that this team is young, but they look experienced with the way that they're handling adversity right now.
Stay up to date all year on the Arizona Diamondbacks by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Diamondbacks on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, the Lakers and Nuggets opened the NBA season for 2023. Before we get to that, a Lions wideout is stepping away from the team. Snap into action this NFL season with America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed when they place a $5 bet. That's $200 back in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. NBA kicking off, still baseball playoffs, NFL, college football. Come on, what more could you possibly ask for? We got a big time college football game in Salt Lake City this Saturday. Utah hosts Oregon. The Utes are home dogs in this one. FanDuel has them 6.5-point underdogs. And you can also combine different prop bets within a game to get an even bigger payout. FanDuel same game parlays are a great way to enhance your sports watching experience. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Veteran wide receiver Marvin Jones Jr. announced Tuesday on Instagram that he's stepping away from the Detroit Lions to take care of personal family matters. In a procedural move after his announcement, the Lions announced they had released Jones, who has 5 catches for 35 yards in 6 games this season. This season has marked a return to Detroit for Jones, who had spent the previous 2 with the Jacksonville Jaguars after 4 seasons with the Lions. His season began in Cincinnati 12 seasons ago after he was a 5th-round pick of the 2012 draft. The NFL does get to play judge and jury with team and player discipline, but this time they ruled against themselves. Kareem Jackson had originally been suspended for 4 games after an unnecessary roughness rules violation, a hit on Packers tight end Luke Musgrave in Sunday's game. Docked 4 games. Now it will just be 2, the NFL said on Tuesday. Jackson will now be eligible to return to active duty on November 14th, the day after the team's game against the Buffalo Bills. He will miss Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as that Buffalo game, which comes following the bye week. The Suns and Warriors also got the season tipped off on Tuesday night.
This was a game that looked very winnable. The Warriors were trailing by 15 at one point. They came back. They had the lead, and then they lost the lead. And there was a lot to break down. First, what immediately sticks out is the fact that Andrew Wiggins played like absolute dog crap. He was a -22 in the plus-minus. He played so bad that Steve Kerr did not have him out there at the end of the game. Maybe it's justified, maybe it's not justified, but that's how bad he was playing.
The Suns did so without Bradley Beal. He was listed as questionable early on Tuesday with lower back tightness and ruled out hours before tip-off. We mentioned our apathy, certainly my apathy, toward the Michigan sign-stealing scandal, in scare quotes, on yesterday's Locked On Sports Today. Apparently, Coach Prime agrees with us. When asked about it, Deion Sanders said, everybody's trying to get an edge. Everyone's trying to get an edge wherever they can. You can have someone's whole game plan. They could mail it to you. You've still got to stop it. Thank you, Deion Sanders. And the San Francisco Giants are taking the San Diego Padres manager. Bob Melvin is moving on after 2 contentious years in Southern California. It was widely speculated that part of the reason for the Padres underachieving was the disconnect between the front office and the manager. Melvin will be returning to the Bay Area where he grew up, played for the Giants, and then managed the Oakland Athletics from 2011 to 2021. The Nuggets hung the banner, and the Lakers have had plenty to say about the Nuggets having plenty to say about having played the Lakers and beat the Lakers in the playoffs last season. So only fitting that the Nuggets would hang the banner with the Lakers in the building, a 119-107 win to open the season, the 2023 NBA season. Andy Kamenetsky from Locked On Lakers joins me now. And Andy, this is yet another version of the new look Lakers. We talked a lot last year about how they remade themselves at the trade deadline. Look, it's only one game. Your first reaction to the new look LA Lakers?
That it was disappointing that they looked more disjointed during this game than they did throughout a lot of the preseason. And there can be some extenuating circumstances to that. There have been some guys in and out of the lineup. Gabe Vincent, for example, missed the last 2 or 3 preseason games with back injury, and he often looked like somebody who had not played in a while. But, Gabe Vincent obviously is not going to be the reason that the Lakers win or lose games. Anthony Davis being held to 0 points in the second half. And I feel like a fool right now, Peter, because on the Tuesday's Locked On Lakers, I actually did a deep dive into Anthony Davis' fourth quarter numbers from last season about why I actually think he's been contributing in ways that have gone overlooked, and that I think a lot of his scoring inconsistencies, that narrative has been overblown. But man alive, was not overblown as a talking point out of this game. LeBron playing only 29 minutes, even as a proponent of having his minutes lowered this season, that feels a little aggressive. But also, too, I can't help but wonder, Peter, how with this particular game, trying to prep for the Nuggets, who beyond being really good, they are built around a truly one-of-one player in Nikola Jokic, which
Sure.
makes them in a lot of ways a one-of-one team in the NBA.
Yep.
And I'm not looking to make excuses for the Lakers, but coming out of the gate this early, they are difficult to replicate in the preseason or practice against. Again, Denver outplayed the Lakers, period. They looked better. They looked more focused even after the ring night. But there was a lot at play for the Lakers in this game leading to this loss.
Yeah, 29, 13, and 11 casual for Nikola Jokic. That's just what he does at this point. You mentioned the minutes for LeBron James, just 29 minutes, but he shoots 10 of 16, still has 21, 8, and 5. What do you expect to be the minutes load and the workload? Because this was a game where Anthony Davis outshoots him. D'Angelo Russell takes 12 shots. Austin Reeves takes 11 shots. That's not the version of this Lakers offense that we're used to seeing. It's not the version of any offense we're used to seeing with LeBron James.
Well, I think it's actually the offense that in a perfect world this team wants to see. And I think part of the reason that the Lakers, they've built up so much depth, not just in terms of NBA players, but a lot of skill guys. They've got a lot of guys on this team who can score and have a track record as scorers. And theoretically, that can ease some of that load off LeBron. And, in a perfect world, I would love to see him playing 32, 33 minutes a night, which would be about 3 or so less than he did last season and 3 to 4 fewer than what he did over his time as a Laker. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you manage to make that happen on a regular basis, it adds up. But 29 is low in a game where the Lakers are fighting from behind. Like, it's one thing if Darvin had rolled the dice on, giving LeBron a little extra time on the bench in a game where the Lakers had been leading and it just backfired. It would still be a mistake, but it would be a mistake that you understand a little bit more, unless there's something going on specifically with LeBron, or I guess maybe this has been part of their plan for like the first 20-ish games to try to ease LeBron through the season. They're going to look to cap him at around 30 minutes. I haven't heard anything like that, but maybe it's something that will get revealed or alluded to after tonight's game, because I'm sure Darvin's going to be asked about him just playing 29 minutes. But either way, they could have used more LeBron on the court, that's for sure.
Stay up to date on the LA Lakers by subscribing to Locked On Sports today and Locked On Lakers on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, could Davante Adams be on the move at the deadline? The NFL trade deadline is approaching and the Raiders appear to be out of playoff contention this year. Could their superstar wideout be on the move? Locked On NFL host James Rapien and Chris Carter discussed the possibility of Davante Adams being traded.
The star, the all-pro, arguably the best wide receiver in the league, Davante Adams should not be on the Raiders, and they should absolutely trade him. I know there was a report last week that they're not going to trade him. That's a mistake. He's on the wrong side of 30, and you guys aren't close to winning. You're not even remotely close. You're not even in the top 10 in the AFC. And sorry, trade Josh Jacobs, fine. It's not going to cost much to get him, especially with his deal. But Davante Adams, well, now you have everybody's attention. The Chiefs will be bidders. A lot of the AFC North will be bidders. A lot of the AFC will be bidders. And, the NFC, you better believe the Packers are going to make that call. Just because I think there would be a lot of teams in the mix. Could the Jacksonville Jaguars get in the mix? Could I mean, think about it. Would the San Francisco 49ers make the call just to see? I don't know. I think
don't give the Niners Davante Adams. That'd be
I'm just saying, but that's how these teams think. I think the Eagles would make a call. I think
if the Eagles trade for Davante Adams, we need to all drive to Philly and just stop this. Like something's wrong here. You can't be throwing this Broad Street. I don't care what you think about your Phillies. I know that you guys fight all the people that hate you and your fans. I went to Chain University. I'm used to you guys. But enough is enough. You have the NLCS game coming up. You got all these other things working your way. You don't need Davante Adams. All right. You got AJ Brown, DeMonte Smith. Be happy with that. Go frolic. You're running the NFC. If the Eagles get Davante Adams, I'm going on strike, James.
Two places I would love to see Davante Adams go if he is in fact traded. And this hurts me as someone who covers the Green Bay Packers because Green Bay is not one of those teams. Dallas. I would love to see him go to Dallas. Man, he'd look good in that star, wouldn't he? With Dak Prescott, with CeeDee Lamb, who can play in the slot and outside, reunite with Coach Mike McCarthy and go win a Super Bowl. The NFC looks wide open. Why not go do it? And the other team, the Buffalo Bills. He's already played for the great small market Midwest cold weather team and established himself as the best receiver in the league in Green Bay. Now go to the AFC version of Green Bay. Jump through a table and go help the Buffalo Bills get that other receiving option with Stephon Diggs. And by the way, with Davante Adams, there's no other. He is it. And then you have Stephon Diggs too. Both of those guys get to say that it would be the best 1-2 punch we've seen, since Moss Carter probably. That would be unbelievable. And I don't know if they become the favorite, but they become close to it in the AFC with Davante Adams. The money, figure it out. Just figure it out. He's that good. He can change your season. Go do it. And finally, Annika Sorenstam, the greatest LPGA player of the modern era, became a member at Augusta National Golf Club this month when the famed course's new season began. Remember, women were not allowed as members at the home of the Masters until 2012. Not 1972, not 1982, not 1992, not 2002. 2012. Former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and financier Darla Moore were the first women granted Augusta National membership. Annika is certainly one of the more decorated members, man or woman. She's won 97 professional tournaments and 10 major championships during her career. In fact, hard to imagine anyone, not named Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus, being more deserving of membership at any golf club anywhere. Thanks for making Locked On Sports today your first listen. Now go find your favorite team's Locked On podcast and make them your second listen. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, will Josh Allen and the Bills get right on Thursday night? So at least until tomorrow, stay Locked On Sports Today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on Sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.